Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network for magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Oh my goodness. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here today. It's been kind of a crazy week, but you know what? With friends like the Art of Connection authors, you can never be alone. All you have to do is either get on the phone or set up a Zoom, and you know what? You know you're going to be among friends. And I have three incredible friends here today that are all a part of the Art of Connection publishing team. We also have a few more members who aren't able to be with us today. But I am excited to have Becky Norwood, Lori Osborne, and Dr. Buddy Thornton here with us in the room today. I wanted to go through a little bit of our housekeeping, which I always like to do before we start the show, because I always have to plug, especially today when we have the publishing team here. How could I not, speak to the books that we have out? And the fifth book that we had was the best-selling book, 365 Days of Abundance Quotes. And also, along with that, we had 365 Days of Abundance Journaling. And they're at Amazon. You can go to mybook.to, that's mybook.to/Art of Connection, number 5. And you can get to that particular book and get your own very copy. You won't regret it. It'll be wonderful for you to do. Also, we're looking to bring in authors for our next book, book number 6, volume 6 in the Art of Connection book series. And yes, you can become an internationally best-selling author, not just once, but twice. Yes, twice by being in this book. You'll be a part of our quote book, which has our quote, our thought, our question, and our journal book. So if you'd like to take part in this book, please put summer into the coupon area, and then you can be a part of the book with us. We'd so love to have you here with us. And so also a little bit of more information. We love your likes. Go to facebook.com/iNetrepreneur Radio or youtube.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. And you can find us there. Also, you can come check out one of our magazines at iNetrepreneurMagazine.com, thecontemporarywoman.com. We need to have like magazineall.com so we can just get to all these magazines, because that's a lot of magazine talking here. Or infinitecorecoaching.com/magazine. And you can get your copy of Infinite Core Living. That is published by my lovely wife, Sean Renee Jones. Also, if you want to check out some nearly 800 meetings and events each year, you can go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net, including our new Mesa chapter, which has moved locations. So if you're in the Phoenix area, we're meeting at the Hub Restaurant off of Sossaman and Baseline. And man, we had an amazing turnout yesterday. So we're really excited about that. But let's get to it. Let's go ahead and bring Mr. Buddy Thornton onto the stage. Buddy is our resident editor for the Art of Connection book series. How are you doing, Buddy?
I'm doing great, Robert. And it's been 3 years now, and you labeled me human AI, and now I'm to the point where no, that's an insult now. I think AI has completely left the room. We know how to beat AI.
Well, AI does many things that are wonderful, but it's kind of like a bike. You have the AI tire, you have the human eye tire, and if they're both fully loaded with amazing oxygen, you are get up and go time. And so, Buddy, why I wanted to bring you on today is, for a lot of people who are looking about getting into the Art of Connection book series, there's a lot of interesting things that we do that many other large-scale collaborative book series don't do. And I think the number one thing that we do is we stay atop of the cutting edge. We were the first book series, of this scale, 365 pages, all of different people, to include author tags, for findability. So, the digital book could be found in a number of ways by people who are searching for our authors. Another thing that we did is we came up with auto manuscript, which is how we create the pre-formatting manuscript for publishing purposes. And I know that you've been along for a ride too. What are some of the things that make Art of Connection, this book series, so unique to you?
Well, the number one thing is that we have treated it as a complete, continuous, in-motion improvement model. Every year we've found cracks in the seams, and we've been able to build over those cracks and fill in the gaps. And a good example would be how we have eliminated some of the differentiation between the authors. We know every author is completely unique and their pages are completely unique. And when I read them, I can really feel the flavor of uniqueness. However, when we're presenting a book like this to the Library of Congress, it needs to also have continuity and integrity. So we want it to be as absolutely succinct as possible. So we, at one point we put honorariums like doctor and other things before names. And we also put their master's degrees and all their alphabet soup behind it. Now we've eliminated that down into the author contact area, and we have made that a consistent picture now, so that, yes, there are doctors in the room. Yes, there are very incredible people in the room. We want the world to see them as a human first, build a relationship first. And I don't think any other book in the world does it as well as we do. And that is an evolving process. And next year we'll find something else to improve on.
I'm glad you said that. Now, what I'm going to do is, so people can see what we're talking about, is I'm going to share the screen right now. And this shows a sample page of what you see in the Art of Connection book. And what Buddy is talking about is up there. It has the date. That's the date that Preston Weeks has in the book. But if he was a PhD, or if he had a doctor, or if he had an MS designation after his name, we used to put that up. But we wanted to create a space where all people have equal voices, and we're all among equalness through the Art of Connection book series. Now, below here in the author contact information, certainly we also want to celebrate the certifications and the advanced education that many people will have. But in many ways, we wanted the words themselves, the quote, the thought, the question, to create a space of uniqueness, but equality throughout every member in the book. Wouldn't you say so, Buddy?
Yes, because of the unique format and the fact that we're not 2, 3, 4 pages per author. We are one page. We give them a format to stay within. And for the most part, there's very few people who fall short or long on that. And when we get problems, when I edit the page, I send an email out, and we get it cleaned up within hours, sometimes within minutes. And the beauty of our system is we all know our checks and balances. I get the pages as soon as the system gets the pages. I edit it. I have nobody in front of me. I'm able to get back to the author if there's a problem. They're able to approve the edit, and we're able to move them into their date selection. And then I hand it off to beautiful people like Becky Norwood, and we can just get the process going. No other book series in the entire universe puts the parts in place the way we are right now.
And another part that we put in place that wasn't in the first book, but we added it because we were always looking to add values, is the unique dynamic QR code, which is on the page. And we actually included that, started including that with the book for each and every page, because we felt, this book is going to be in bookstores. It's going to be printed off of Amazon. It's going to be in the Library of Congress. It's going to be at someone's coffee table or bookshelf. And a lot of time, author contact information gets changed as soon as it's even been printed. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a place where our authors would always have the ability to be connected to, no matter where this book ends up. And when people ask me what makes it unique, what makes it dynamic, what makes it unique is you're able to put your own logo into the QR code. What makes it dynamic is you're able to change where the QR code is being pointed. So let's say that you're you have a change in website. You can go and you can text request or go to an online form, and you can have this particular QR code point to the new direction on where you want it to go. And these are some of the changes that we started over time. Another place on that we started doing was right here, and you may be able to see this, maybe not, but that's the tags area. And I was talking about that earlier. In the first edition of the book, we developed tags like it was like metadata or hashtags. So it would help our authors kind of silo themselves on how they would be, connected with through search, online search, and now actually even through AI, which is, becoming a search engine in many ways. But, we're really excited about how each and every book advances, as we go forward. Last year was abundance. This year, 2025 is abundance. 2026 is going to be resilience. But we've also had gratitude, transformation, inspiration, and a connection. 365 Days of Networking is the first book. But Buddy, another question that I'm asked is, you also provide additional services. Those services are, I believe, editorial advisement, editorial enhancement, and also ghostwriting. Talk about what those are and how they are applied to our authors within this book series.
Well, very simply, advisement is me talking to the authors about, how they may want to create their page. And I suggest they use their heart and soul. And then we remove everything. Because when you do that, you overwrite, and then you have to bring it down for conciseness. And then when it comes to the enhancement, that's when someone is struggling with their page and they want a little bit of help. And everybody has busy lives. Let's just admit everyone has busy lives. So if you need help for a very small fee, I jump in and I help them complete their page. And every year, I get several authors who just reach out and say, I'm coming up on my deadline. There's no way I can write this. And so they say, if I give you the quote, can you write my page? And of course, I write it. I send it back to them. I still get their approval because my goal is to write their page, but never leave my fingerprints on it. So for the money that they're paying to have their page done by me, I have that conversation with them. I get to understand the story behind the quote, and then I write it in their voice.
Which brings up another person who's a part of our team, which sometimes just getting on track is the momentum you need to write your thought and to write your question for the page. And I always say, don't diminish the question. The reflective question many times is the question that really creates, the inspiration for that author to be contacted. So I always take, if you're going to put thought into it, don't let it stop at the thought, have it go forward into the question, because that is a very powerful part of the page. But what I'm saying is, in the quote, sometimes it's like, I have nothing to say, or how am I quote worthy? Or, how do I compose a quote? We also have Dr. Jenny Krieger, who's our quote coach, who also helps authors start this process by giving them some quote coaching, doesn't she?
Dr. Jenny is amazing. She has life experience that allows anybody to dig into that deep well and get a scoop and find out exactly how to massage something out. What she does is she asks them who they are. She asks them what they want to talk about. And she pulls the quote out of them without giving them the quote. They end up writing the quote, but she is amazing at how she massages people into relevance. Sometimes, yes, there's a topic it's hard to write on. Resilience, yeah, it's a great topic. But, some people, they get to the point where they get to it and they're like, okay, I'm ready to write. Oh, wait a minute. What do I write? And so they need that nudge, and she's the perfect person to give them the nudge.
She really is. She really is. Buddy, I'm going to go on to the publisher right now. So when you come back later in here, let's talk a little bit more about your services, ghostwriting, because I think that really needs to go into a little bit of depth as well. And the price that you offer is really amazing. But I know you have something you have to attend to, and I'm going to go ahead and bring Becky Norwood on. So we'll see you here in just a few moments.
Appreciate it, Robert. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Becky, hi. How are you today?
Oh, I'm just exceptional. Thank you.
I love that word. I'm hearing these great words. Exceptional. I'm stellar. I don't know. Lori's going to be amazing. No, she's not. No, she's not. Just kidding. She knows what I'm talking about. Becky, I want to give you, so much love. You and Natalie McQueen both have really helped create this opportunity, this space for all of our authors to shine. And I have to say, none of this would have happened without you in the beginning to get that first book, 365 days of networking quotes out there. And believe me, never did I think that this would turn into the amazing movement, the amazing community, the amazing, really just opportunity, for people to be in that safe space and to be able to grow and even glow. And I just want to say, thank you for being that, first publisher who didn't laugh me out the door, because I think I would have laughed me out the door, quite frankly, but you didn't. No. Why was that?
Sometimes you see the vision before it could ever become something in real life. And what you have done is you've stuck with it. Each year you've grown, you've created this amazing, beautiful movement. And to be a part of it again this year in the publishing aspect of it, I am so proud and so humbled in so many ways, because being a part of this and seeing the transformation that is taking place by every little footprint that has been made to get this book out, to these books out to the world, and what the safe environment that you provide through all the different networking and all the different things that you have made to where people can come together and say, I belong to something that's bigger than myself.
And it's so interesting. I remember when I had worked with David Fagan a long time ago, and I always give him credit for this because I thought he gave me some amazing advice. And he always said, sometimes the strange thing about people, and especially family, is they all assign you a value. And, some people grow in their value, and so their number raises, and some people's, value stays the same. But many times, even if your number grows, the people around you, and lots of times the people who are closest to you, they don't see that number rise. They don't see that value increase. And, and it's not just people, and I kind of apply it to like the book. I think of the first book, and it was just the words, and you'd have to upgrade just to have an image on it. And now, we've come so far, and I just kind of wanted to share where we're at now. We have grown to such a point to where, we just feel like, what can we do to provide more? And I really mean that. What can we do to provide more? So now when an author comes into the community, and Becky, I think this is amazing. What we're doing here is they contribute a page of information. It goes into our international best-selling quote book, but we also have a journal book now. There's been such a demand through schools. There's been such a demand from students. There's been such a demand through our authors, our coaches, people who help create legacy, break to limiting thoughts, et cetera, to have these books in a journal format. And so now when an author comes into this Art of Connection book series, when we produce it, we produce not only the quote book, but a journal book. And not only that, we decided to have a 2026 calendar coming out with the book on resilience. And so all I'm trying to express is, we've grown and we've learned, and we've created a space where it's still that low cost, yet high impact, highly visible, highly sought after in credibility and authority through Amazon and other places, something that I believe is really, really special. what are your thoughts on the growth of this book and what we offer, maybe even, in comparison to other concepts, other compilation books in this industry?
Well, there are a lot of compilation books out there. And in fact, I publish a lot of them for many different anthology type compilation books. What I see that is happening here and what has progressed over these last 4 or 5 years, 6 years, this is the 6th book, is that you've created, along with it, you've created an amazing community. And I think that's part of the winning piece. And the fact that, many authors that are in this coming book are returning authors. And for each author that chooses to return, or maybe even be the first time, it's that extra footprint out into the world, that extra opportunity, because you can claim authorship, you can do all kinds of beautiful things, and even be part of this radio show. The world is kind of like our oyster when it comes to something like this. So many times in a compilation book, there's not a lot of support for the other authors. Mm. It's the main author, and there's a big hubbub of activity for a short amount of time. But what you do is with this series is that you keep that momentum going year after year, so that they get the exposure, they get their feet wet in what it is like to be an author. It paves the way for maybe they need to bring a book of their own to the world. They have a good working knowledge of what to expect this way.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into it. And, for a person, I really would encourage someone to, if they're considering this, to really think seriously about doing this, because this gives you a little kind of tiny taste of what it's like to become an author. It helps to form you in a very special way, because you get your feet wet, you kind of see what it's about. Sometimes being a very first-time author and putting a book out on your own, whether you're using a publisher. I work with many first-time authors, and for many, it's like having a baby. That's the only way I can describe it, because it is like a 9-month process of building who's you're following, what's your big why, what is the reason behind this. We all have a message. We all have something I want to make an impact in the world, and we need to use every opportunity available to us to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Form of solid foundation.
Well, I used to say this, all the time, and I believe this graphic may be a little misleading because it looks like it's just one book that's in 3 different forms. No, these are 2 separate books plus a calendar. I mean, you are getting published in 2 separate books. That means you can go to Amazon and claim authorship 2 times. And I've said this so many, and people come to me, they're like, well, why should I be in a compilation book? And, And I tell them a couple of things. I say, one, because it keeps you credibly relevant if you're an author in Amazon. This is the rocket fuel that keeps the algorithm happy. I still remember when Mark Victor Hansen told me, he goes, Robert, you do that networking thing. What would it look like if you only went networking every 3 to 5 years? And I said, I probably wouldn't be a very effective networker. And he's like, well, why do authors think they can just produce a book every 3 to 5 years and someone's going to find them? You have to be able to be found. And, and here's some other things that I just want to show. It's not just the books. We, in the last book, we also, we worked with the Library of Congress, and every author who's in the book has a certificate waiting for them that says that they have a work in the Library of Congress as well. We have the Author Impact Forum where we teach and train each and every week. So entrepreneur authors can be empowered to make the best decisions, and in addition to having this bonus digital calendar, and so like I've never had anyone come back to me, Becky, and you've heard me say this, and I think Lori's probably heard me say this ad nauseum. No one's ever come back to me and said, oh my God, the worst thing I've ever done is become international best-selling author. No one's ever come back and told me I said I should have never become an international best-selling author. You know, they've always been very thankful and grateful. And for many of them, yes, it does start their journey. And for many of them, while they're working on their other books, they use this particular book in such a way that it helps them amplify each and every publication that they have through Amazon and through, you know, anything that Ingram Spark does, which is another valuable place, isn't it, Becky, is Ingram Spark this year?
Oh, absolutely, because Ingram Spark gets it into the catalogs for all the bookstores and libraries. And that is a huge piece of the equation, because every single little spot that we have that we can be seen, we can be heard, our words can be read, is a huge impact. And we look for all of those opportunities and it's really a framework for building and maintaining a really solid, good business. Mm-hmm. You know, in today's world, we have, how many different streams of income can we have? Mm-hmm. And, you know, not running all over the place, working 5-time jobs. I'm not saying that. I mean, creating streams within our one single business that will keep the bread on the table, keep the things going that we really want to have. But each of these things, from being in a book like this, to having your own book, to being on stage and speaking, to having a course that you can teach, to being on webinars, to sharing and speaking in networking groups and different things like this, all of them add layer upon layer upon the success of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And starting with a book like this, where you have the support around you, and Amazon immediately sees that you're a part of that, and your bio is right there. People can see what the work that you do. If they read a few words, even one page, with something that you wrote and it made an impact on them, it changed their life. What more could we ask for? Mm-hmm. And that's the whole thing. That's the beauty of it. And but we can't just do it once. We need to continually find ways to get our message out to the world.
You know, and it's so important. And, you know, you bring up a couple of other things. I mean, this book is a definite resource, and Lori and I are going to talk a little bit more about what a great resource this is. But I can feel my radio show. I can fill my events. I can, you know, get people to work on different projects. I create joint ventures. I do collaborations. I get invited to other people's podcasts and radio shows and books, and get on stages and do business and get referred. And I mean, it you know, I say this again and again, you know, once I thought it was about the book, now I know it's not about the book, it's about the people who we bring into the book. That's where the impact really comes from. And we've brought over, at this point, over 1,500 authors into this book from over 25 different countries and over 30 different states. And, you know, and to think about where this started out, it just blows me away. But here's something else. You know, here's the second thing I want to talk about. And I love saying this because people don't necessarily think about it. And they go like, well, I'm an author and I have books and they're up on Amazon. And, you know, I paid $25,000 to get my book up there. And you know what? That's great. I love that. But here's the thing that you also need to know is, you know, how do you create Amazon to be your agency? How do you get Amazon to get other people to see that book that you just spent $25,000 on? How do you get other people to see that you're associated with a community, or you're going to come up in search results more often when, you know, someone's searching for your name? Well, you can't do it if you only do it once.
That's right.
And one of the things that I say about collaboration books is when you're in that book and you have a page, and now we have two coming up, let's say 2 pages, you know, Lori has a couple of more and Buddy has a couple more, et cetera, et cetera. You know what? Out of the 365 people in there, Amazon doesn't go, wait, we're only going to give Lori Osborne 1/365th, you know, value of authorship. No, they give her the whole value of authorship, you know? And that's what I tell people. So it's okay to have your $25,000 book there, but take an easy win for $279. Take an easy win and have another book up there and then another book up there. And what you're going to have is you're going to have more findability because you're not getting penalized. It is a full book for you. And when people are searching up you come up in fullness. And I think that that's really important. And here's another thing that authors don't think about being credibly relevant in between their solo books or co-authored books is these links that are created are also evergreen. So that means when you get to be put into a Kindle for $279, it doesn't disappear.
No, it doesn't. It
is there for the life of Amazon. As long as Amazon and Kindle are there, it's there. And as long as Google's there, it's going to get people to you. And that's what I always really want to get out there to people is collaboration books don't work against you. They actually, if done right, are done for you. And here's something else that, many times isn't really noted is when you have collaboration books that are of a large size like this one, but they're also done in a series, the algorithms through Google and the associated connections from all of us also amplify. So that means, as an associated result, that means if Lori's being found in a certain way, I'm getting credit too.
Absolutely.
And if I'm being found, you're getting credit too. And so entrepreneurs sometimes they don't understand the easy win. And I think that's what Mark Victor Hansen was really telling me. He's like, why do people see me as everywhere? It's not just because I don't do my, just don't do my own books. It's because, I'm doing reviews. I'm doing forwards. I'm doing endorsements. I'm doing other collaborative books. I am doing all these things in between where that one person is sitting there and saying, well, I've made my book and now all of a sudden it's going to sell. And it just doesn't happen, does it, Becky?
It doesn't happen that way. And that's the thing. I'm working with an author right now that Jack Canfield is writing the foreword for her book. And her name of her book is Gut Instincts. But what you're saying is so true. When somebody says, Jack Canfield's writing the foreword for your book, that garners that extra attention. His name is there. Everything that he has done has been the springboard to all the other things that he's done. And that's why we all know him so well. We all know him. And the same for authors. If they write one book, and that's one of the first conversations I have, is it just one book? What else are you going to do? Because there's so much work that goes into that first book. Let's build on that work and build and keep on building on that work.
And I always say, the smartest authors I've seen is they create a pre-book architecture before they launch their main book. And so that means they get in 3 or 4 collaboration books. So their name is already being recognized by Amazon. So it doesn't take the 3 to 6 to 9 months for it to really start being facilitated through the algorithm, through the search results, through the system. And so if a person's going to spend $20,000 to $25,000, I mean, to me, it's worth it to spend $250 to $500 to start getting in the system so the availability of being indexed, archived, and retrieved by your audience that's coming is already there. When I used to work for Smart Marketing Technologies out in San Diego, and one of our clients was IKEA, we would start the promotion after the site plan, and we'd promote for 2 years before that grand opening would open. And why did we do that? Because we wanted to make sure when those doors were open that everyone within a 20 to 25 mile radius was going to that grand opening and was going to stick and be a client forever. The pre-work that is done is just as important or even more important than the launch itself. And that is one thing I try to say, again and again. there's two days in an author's life that are important: the day they complete their manuscript and the day that everyone knows about it. But the only way that people know about it is you need to keep producing in small but intentional ways as well. And so, these are the things that I really want to be able to, express to all of our authors out there, how much impact you can do with just small little things.
That's beautiful. Yes, I have like probably 25 books that I've been in just as a compilation book, simply because there are those footprints that we need. And it's so cool when you go to the Art of Connection. They can also, if they were to click on my bio, they'd see that whole collection of books. It shows up. And do you know how exciting that is? Because, sometimes through the busy of life and all the things that we do, we kind of forget about that all these other things are building and building and building. But those are the framework of the success of what we're doing in our world today.
Well, like Howard Brown said, and I love that he said that, very good friend of mine, he says, don't let your book be a lonely book. Get it a spouse. So, get it a partner. Well, Becky, I'm going to have you come in here. I want to make sure that I have a little bit of time for Lori, but but this is the conversations that we have in the Author Impact Forum. This is the type of training that we do put out there. And it's the type of training that entrepreneur authors really, really need. Because in many ways, for the longest time, big publishing companies have sold entrepreneurs a bill of goods. But unfortunately, the bill of goods was the bill of goods that should have been for authors, not entrepreneur authors. And I believe you and I are, flipping the script on that, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We truly are, because it's laying a framework, but it's making the fact that they're able to stand on the work that they've each piece that they have builds a framework that will be long lasting.
Absolutely. So I'm going to bring Lori Osborne to the stage. Hi, Lori.
Hey.
All right. And Becky, I'll have you come back in here in just a few minutes. Lori, you've been able to listen to me rant on, I know I'm just on it today, and, listening to Buddy and listening to Becky, I wanted to kind of keep furthering this. And I really mean that. I say this all the time. I say that the most important day in an author's life is the day they finish their manuscript. But the second most important day, and sometimes I say the most important day, is when everyone finds out about it or everyone knows about it. Right. And one of the things that you and I work with too is, we came together, and one of the things that was just driving me crazy is I love that we have the Kindle and I could find an author, but then all of a sudden I didn't remember which book they were in. And so then I'd go to the Ron Kindle, then I'd go up, then I'd finally find them, or I'd get the book out and I'd look for them. And I'd just like, oh my goodness. And I was looking for something. And I thought to myself, we need to create a way where authors can be found immediately, where authors can be found within their area that they live if they want to come together and do a book signing or do an event or support each other. I wanted to do something where they could designate their industries. And that's where you stepped in. And I got with you and I'm like, Lori, this is what I'd like to have. This is what I'd like to see. I think this would create such an amazing value for all of our members. And we came up with something called the Art of Connection Author Directory. And I'm proud of the Author Directory because it really does kind of tie in everyone from all the different books, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Very, very nicely it does. Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at what Ron one. Let me go here and get the one I want to bring in. Let me see if I can. Let me go present on the present my from my URL here, the Art of Connection directory, because I wanted to just share the screen and talk about this just a little bit, because I think it is very important. And, we didn't want to create the slowest way of connection between authors. We wanted to create a more efficient and faster way of our authors connecting. And so, talk a little bit about what we see here right now.
So this is the home page for the directory, and when you scroll down, you can see
and it's AOCauthordirectory.com.
Yes. And we do update the branding for each book so that, we continue that flow of information. And I'm a brand strategist, so we've got to stay on brand with this stuff. But if you scroll down, you see the actual directory where we've got the pictures, we've got search criteria. We can search currently by city. We're working on expanding that. We can search by multiple different areas that people specialize in. Over to the left there, you can type in a name and do search. I mean, it just makes it so much easier and faster to find someone. And, frankly, part of the reason people do this, because most of us are business owners, is to get business. And what a great way to find people to do business with that are like-minded, kind-hearted, like-hearted, same values, same, the way I found in the community, there's so much of that. And here I know I can go here and find people that share my same convictions, values, everything I just said.
And passion. I mean, I'm just out and out passion for what you do.
Yes.
And, I love that. And when you come in here, and I won't pick on my own here. Let's I'll pick on
You just mentioned Howard. Pick on Howard.
Okay, I'll pick on Howard.
We just talked about Howard.
Brand. There we go. And so, we're able to, pick on Howard here a little bit. And so let's go ahead and discuss his page, what the few things that we have on here.
Okay. Did you click on it? I haven't seen it come up.
Oh, I guess it doesn't port over. Let me do this.
Yeah, click on the eye. Click on the eye on his picture.
Yeah, I need to stop the screen, and then I will be back. There we go.
I love it.
We'll bring Howard back.
Come on, Howard. The sunshine guy. Shining brightly. Yes. So this is the other thing that I feel like is really amazing, because I found while we're filling the directory, a lot of people are just, and I say just uncomfortably because it's not a slight thing, but they don't necessarily have a business. So they don't have a website, but they want to have a place to promote themselves and get out there. And we're giving them practically a website here. It's a landing page. So they have the opportunity, if they do have a website, we have a link right there, front and center, top left, their picture. We have a bio. We show what Art of Connection books they're in. We have all of their social media connections. And of course, we picked the one that didn't have the custom QR code, darn it. And when people upgrade, we have their custom QR code also over here. And then 2 testimonials. So it's pretty comprehensive in terms of what we're telling you about the person. We're giving you a lot of background into them, and hopefully an opportunity to get a little picture of knowledge about them to determine if it's worth reaching out. And I love that we can offer this, because so many people don't have a place to really demonstrate themselves and put themselves out there.
I really love that. Now here's one of the other things that really Lori and I did. We were able to work some magic, and any author who would like to have a landing page in the directory, and it's the landing page setup and the annual hosting of it is $100. And again, we wanted to create something amazing for all of our authors. and they could have their page, they could have it on the site, they could be searched, again, from location, what they do. We could find out what books they're in. And what's great about that is, you can go to that particular book and actually find them in the right Kindle. So, I mean, I love that, and I,
Exactly.
and I also love, and with an upgrade, we can get the QR code on there, but I mean, it's $100 and $50 to renew. I mean, an amazing price for all of our authors who are part of the Art of Connection book series. But we have Howard's LinkedIn, his Facebook. We even have his Amazon link, so you can go to his Amazon profile and see all the different books that he has in. And then there's that other little thing, the what's that little camera? The Pinterest, right?
Oh, the Instagram.
It's Instagram. Okay, Instagram. So, it really is an amazing place, and it's all SEO'd. So keep the keywords coming. That's something that I love that Lori does, because what good is a site if no one's going to see it? So I mean, we want your site to create insight, and we want your site to be the bright light. And I love that, Lori. But let's go a little bit deeper. Let's talk a little bit more about really the whole construct of what we have going on here. Because when we talk about this, we're talking about a whole collection of things that are working together. I mean, we're talking about we have Amazon, which is a top ranked company, when it comes to authority to Google. We have the Kindle, which acts as an editorial link, which is the highest level link a person can get. There is no higher than an editorial level link. We have a directory, which creates a bunch of interactions with each other between the different volumes, on Amazon, and then all of our own different websites and social media. I mean, when you're, and I used to always say, Lori, and I don't know if you know this, but I always say, the people who do the most on the internet are the ones who suck the most. It means they suck you right into them. So at any rate, suck. But let's talk about this a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces that really do help our authors get seen, aren't there?
Absolutely. Yes. And this is one of so many. And that's one thing that you've done just amazingly with building all of this. And, the fact that we're not just in one book. I mean, you didn't mention it, but there's even a coloring book coming out now. Like you have really created a way that we can be seen in so many different ways, which, visibility is key to getting business. I mean, that is the definition of getting out there, and what great opportunities. And to have all of these show up on Amazon, the best search engine out there, is amazing. So I'm just so happy to be part of it.
Yeah, and I'm going to add on to that, because, one of the things that we talk about in training is in we all use Google. We do, and we utilize it for search. And Google is the #1 search engine in the world. But here's the thing a lot of people don't know about is many people use Amazon as their main search engine for looking for experts, or looking for people who are involved in mastery of their subject field, subject matter experts. Mm-hmm. And so, you can go to Google and try to search for them, but how much easier is it to find subject matter experts by going to Amazon and seeing the amount and the type of publications they have?
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon is the #1 search engine in the world. So if I'm looking for someone who's the top of accounting, or I need that attorney, or I'm looking for, that search engine optimization specialist, guess what? Hey, if they're doing what they need to do, they're going to be showing up on Amazon. And a lot of, what all search involves is we live, and we probably always will, in a publish or perish world. So keep publishing and keep your eye on Amazon, because Amazon is is the most used search engine in the world for finding subject matter experts. And so, I'm glad you brought that up, Lori.
It's amazing. Yes, I absolutely agree. I don't think I realized that they were looking in that way. Thank you for educating me on that. That's awesome. There's that word awesome again.
Well, you almost said amazing, so watch out here. So
you didn't ask me how I was. I was going to say I'm fabulous.
Yeah, fabulous.
Use a different word.
Oh, I love that. So, I'm going to go ahead and see if we can bring, Becky back on. Bring
Becky back.
And see if we can bring Dr. Buddy Thornton back on. And again, I just Buddy, I will start with you. I just wanted to see if there was anything that you wanted to I know we talked about the ghost page, maybe really shortly about the ghost page, but any other reflection or any other meaty things that you might have thought of while you were listening to Lori, Becky, and I talk. But go ahead and turn on your mic. We'll make sure that we can hear you. All right. We might have froze Buddy. He was so excited. His energy froze the mic. An image.
Poor Buddy.
So I will go to you, Becky. Is there anything that you thought of that we didn't discuss about earlier that you might want to bring up during this particular segment of the show today?
I think the biggest thing I really observed from all of this is building our credibility. Building the credibility that we need, the framework to continue each thing that we get involved with, like this book, to get our message out to the world to create an impact. I always call it the ripple effect. You drop one pebble in a body of water, and there's a ripple effect. But each of those starts to create a wave. That wave. You begin to gain the momentum that you need to be recognized as somebody. There is an author, and I publish a whole lot of books. Okay, I've published many books, and when you see what the momentum that each one of these people are making, but when you think about the impact, and if you've got a person that is in 20 books, how many little pebbles are being dropped to make that as it goes along? And pretty soon you've got a bigger wave and a bigger wave. And that's where people start to take notice. You're just not a fly by night. You're not just not one here today, gone tomorrow. You're consistently making an impact. You're consistently getting your message out to the world, because I think the vast majority of human beings on our earth, we really want to make a difference. We want to leave a legacy. We want to know we made a difference. And we can't do that by being quiet and hiding our light under a bushel basket.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that, Becky.
The only way to do it is letting our light shine. And taking every opportunity that we have to create those touch points that will make a person say, I remember reading something she wrote, and it was like 5 years ago. And then they go and look it up on Amazon or wherever they're looking it up, and they're seeing all these other places, and what does that create in their minds? But think about it, travel the freeways of Phoenix. And you've come out to Goodyear how many times, and sometimes that traffic is so bad that it's hard to even get there. And because of the morning traffic that to travel across the city, ask yourself, how many of them are authors? And I would venture to guess that very, very, very few are truly authors. And so an author is still a rare bird.
Well, I want to kind of go on that, because, for those who are listening to the show and who aren't an author and haven't been to the Author Impact, Amazon produces on its own, and they're not the whole industry, but they're quite a bit of the industry, 12,500 publications a day. Books, 12,500. Might be why I'm always angry with them, because they're always losing. No, they're not. But yeah, they are. But when you think about it, when you think about how much publication is going on out there, and one of the things that we haven't talked about is the international awards this book series has, or the international firsts that this book series has, or the first time authors that have been produced from this book. Another thing, when we talk about it, it's not just a category. We've had some 300 number one achievements in the Art of Connection book series. And so when you consider that 12,500 books are produced each day, and when you consider that only 0.7%, some 70 to 80 books can actually achieve these categories on a daily basis, you start to see, what a rare bird this is.
Yeah.
To have that many different achievements, to have that many number ones. And the other thing I say is number 2 doesn't count. Number 3 doesn't count. To be in number 1, hey, Amazon has AI too. And if you put a number 1 international best-selling logo on your badge, on your book, and you aren't, they'll ban you for a year. If you do it again, you are banned for life. And so I'm only saying that so when you look at our books and you see those number 1 international best-selling badges on each and every one of those covers, we didn't buy them. We earned them.
Right.
And that is a big difference on what we achieve, especially when we achieve this as a community. And so, again, I wanted to thank you for bringing up something that caused me to remember that, Becky. And Lori, I definitely want to bring you back in. What are some of the things that you have learned and or you've found out about your business through publishing and the community with the AOC?
Well, I think what you just said, I don't know that we've really touched on it deep enough, is the community. To me, that's the whole purpose of why I'm here, is the community. I have never seen that with another compilation book. And it continues to grow. It continues to bring people in that we can network with, get to know. We always like to say, meet people and kiss and hold babies. You say it so much better than I do. When we get to meet in person, it's a family. It is truly, and of course, it's not all 1,500. I wish it was, but there's a core, and the core builds because we're going into 6 books. And it's a place that we can share knowledge and training, but our hearts, and we really, it is truly a community. And I just, I can't stress that enough, because when people ask me what the ROI on it is, I tell them, I don't think about the ROI. I think about the relationships that I'm building, because that's how I build my business, is through getting to know people and building relationships. And what a great place to do it, because we are so like-minded and just focused on the right things, and we can share that and grow together. Mm-hmm. So that's what it is for me.
Yeah, I agree. The people who really put in get out. And that's really what I say all the time. Show up to the meetings, do a presentation, speak at one of our Art of Connection summits, go to a local book signing, come to DC and New York. When we were, we created such a commotion in New York City. There was 87 of us in Times Square with the Jumbotron shining behind us. I'm 60 years old. I have to say, of anything that I've ever done in business, that was the most spectacular, stellar, fabulous, all those good words, thing I've ever done. And and there was people just coming around, and they saw the love and they saw the camaraderie. And and if it wasn't for that, you talk about ROI. I mean, I'm building other books. I'm building other ideas. I'm creating other events. I'm doing other shows. I'm doing consulting. I am doing some coaching. I mean, it just goes on. And then, just that impact is, I have, every day, just any number of organizations and people wanting to provide a place. But at the end of the day, if the place doesn't provide for everyone in this book, it's no place for me, because at the end of the day, I know that it takes everyone to create what we have. And I'm not going to forget that, because I do know what it was like 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know what it was like when, I looked around, my office, and I thought, who am I going to call? And it ain't Ghostbusters. So, I mean, now I have more friends, and now I say in the last 5.5 years than I developed over the last 35 years. And is it always perfect? Absolutely not. But the thing is we've developed the type of friendships where we get through the rough waters, because we know at the end of the day, we always have each other's back. And that's what I really love about the community that all of us have created. So, an hour goes by too quickly. Hopefully they won't cut off too much of the end of the show. But I just, Lori and Becky, thank you so much for being on the iNetrepreneur Network radio show. You guys are a blessing. And, every author I know, when I turn them over to you, when they have some need, I know it's going to be taken care of. So I just want to say thank you both today for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
You are welcome. And so, we'll have to do this again. And so, hopefully someone out there will say, you know what, I'm going to join that crazy community, iNet. And
Please do. Thank you.
You've been watching the iNetrepreneur Show, a production of the iNetrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.